What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, unified, WBC, IBF, welterweight, world champion, superstar boxer, Errol Spence Jr. He absolutely rips in to legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO, Bob Arum, who can promote what would be the biggest fight in the sport of boxing currently today because he holds undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered the number one pound-for-pound boxer in the world, Terence Crawford, superstar boxer. Now, we know everybody wants to see Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford says that he's looking for the biggest fights he could possibly make at this point in time due to the fact that he has yet to secure a high-profile, high-legacy, mega-massive fight. He just doesn't have it on his resume. He uttered that sentiment when he was on ESPN's special Relentless with Andre Ward. With that said, Errol Spence let it be known that if Terence Crawford wants this fight, 60-40 split in my favor because I am the bigger star. I'm the bigger draw. The numbers don't lie. The proof is in the pudding. Look at my pay-per-views and look at Terence Crawford's. Errol Spence did 350,000 pay-per-view buys with Mikey Garcia. He did 325,000 pay-per-view buys with Sean Porter. Then he did 310,000 pay-per-view buys with Danny Swift Garcia in his last fight, okay? So Terence Crawford did 2 pay-per-views in his career. One with Victor Postile, did 60,000 pay-per-view buys. The other with Amir Khan, it did 150,000 pay-per-view buys. So that's a combined 210,000 pay-per-view buys. Errol Spence's one fight with Danny Swift Garcia at 310,000 pay-per-views is 100,000 more pay-per-view buys than Terence Crawford's combined 2 pay-per-views. So the proof is in the pudding, and he's selling out AT&T Arlington Dallas Cowboys Stadium. And Terence Crawford, yes, he did sell out in Omaha, Nebraska, his hometown. But when it came to Terence Crawford fights at Madison Square Garden, he did not sell them out. He had a prolific undercard with Richard Comey and Teofimo Lopez for the IBF World Championship. Teofimo Lopez being from New York, he had a lot to say, what was to come on the undercard of that fight, So, Terence Crawford is just not doing big numbers. So with that said, Bob Arum is also admitting of this, right? Bob Arum stated that, he's lost so much money on Terence Crawford's fights that he could build a mansion in Beverly Hills from scratch. This is what Bob Arum stated, okay? Terence Crawford, 37-0, 28 by way of knockout. He's 33 years of age, stands at 5'8", 74-inch arm reach, okay? He fought Igis Kavalaskis December 14th. It was not a sellout, but on the undercard, the co-main was Richard Comey Teofimo Lopez. With that said, Bob Arum is stating that he spoke to Al Haymon, and Al Haymon told him that he's willing to proceed forward with the fight. It's just that Errol Spence is holding up the fight because he's throwing out numbers that are just not realistic. This is what Bob Arum had to say. He stated that in speaking with Al Haymon, PBC, Premier Boxing Champions founder and advisor, whom which he advises Errol Spence Jr., he stated that Al Haymon informed him that he's willing to proceed and make this fight happen. It's just that Errol Spence is not being realistic with the numbers, right? So Errol Spence, 27-0, 21 by way of knockout, stands at 5'9.5", 72-inch arm reach, 31 years of age. Errol Spence responded to this and stated that he says, Lion Bob strikes again, right? He says that, obviously Bob Arum is not being truthful. Bob Arum is not willing to make the fight because he is trying to get a 50-50 split fight for Terence Crawford. Essentially, what Bob Arum is trying to do at this point in time is get a return on his investment, okay? He does not feel like, to this point, he's got a return for his investment when it comes to dealing with Terence Crawford. As he already stated, he let it be known that if he was able to cut ties with Terence Crawford immediately, ASAP, he would do so. He said Terence Crawford is difficult to work with. Terence Crawford is not realistic on his demands. Terence Crawford has cost him so much money in the past. He's just not a big draw. He doesn't promote himself. Bob Arum stated he needs to promote himself like Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson, Vasyl Lomachenko, and guys in the past that he had like Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather Jr., Oscar De La Hoya, and Miguel Cotto. He said he don't promote himself like those guys. He's not a big star, and he's not realistic on his demands, and he's lost tons and tons of money on him, so much so that he could build a mansion in Beverly Hills from scratch. This is what Bob Arum had to say. So he doesn't believe in Terence Crawford. Now, Terence Crawford is set to be a free agent October of this year, 2021. And with that said, I believe that Bob Arum is trying to, at this point in time, cash out on Terence Crawford. He stated that if it wasn't for Todd DeBuff, who is Bob Arum's son-in-law, who essentially runs the company, and Bob Arum is the figurehead at this point in time, and he said that he leaves it all up to Todd DeBuff, right? He don't intervene, he don't include himself. And we saw Bomac, trainer and manager of Terence Crawford. He even stated in an interview he did, he stated that they tried to get an interview, a meeting with Bob Arum, a sit down, and Bob Arum refused. He informed them he had nothing to say to Terence Crawford. He did not want to sit down with Terence Crawford. He's done with Terence Crawford, right? So Bob Arum essentially doesn't believe that Terence Crawford is worth the investment, okay? He's also stated when it came to 8 division world champion, legendary, iconic Filipino superstar boxer, who is currently the WBA welterweight world champion, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, who was once signed to Top Rank and Bob Arum. Bob Arum stated that, he didn't feel like he wanted to make the fight between Terence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao. He essentially blocked the fight from happening because he stated that, Manny Pacquiao was a close friend of his. He didn't want to see him get hurt at the advanced age. And not to mention, he did not feel like Manny Pacquiao was worth paying $20 million. Manny Pacquiao wanted $20 million to fight Terence Crawford. He didn't feel like he was worth $20 million to pay him. And obviously, he don't feel like making a fight between Manny Pacquiao and Terence Crawford is feasible because he won't get a return on his investment and having to pay Manny Pacquiao $20 million. So Bob Arum simply stated, I blocked the fight. I prevented the fight from happening because I didn't want it to happen. And then Bob Arum is admitting of Manny Pacquiao leaving, going to PBC with Al Haymon and getting the $20 to $25 million he was looking for against 4-division world champion, superstar boxer Adrian the Problem Broner. And then he got the same amount when he fought against former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. Thus, the reason why Manny Pacquiao is the WBA champion, because he defeated Keith Thurman. So Bob Arum is saying, I'm just happy I didn't have to fit the bill for that fight and put up the money and lose because it only did 400,000 pay-per-views. So if Bob Arum doesn't believe that paying Manny Pacquiao $20 million and the fight doing 400,000 pay-per-views is a success, then he clearly don't believe that Errol Spence doing a high of 350,000 against Terence Crawford would be a success either. And Bob Arum also stated that who's going to put this fight on pay-per-view, especially during this pandemic and social distancing, there being no closed circuits, there being no live gates, who's going to fit the bill for the pay-per-view for this fight? I'm not doing it. So Bob Arum is not of the belief that he could get his return for investment in Terence Crawford. So essentially, he's saying make it a 50-50 fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, 50-50 split, so he don't lose on the back end. That's why he's not willing to allow Terence Crawford to accept 60-40 split in Errol Spence's favor, because Bob Arum sees that he's not going to get a return for his investment with this fight. So he needs 50-50 to at least break even when dealing with this fight of this magnitude, or see a slight return in his investment with a fight of this magnitude. But Bob Arum doesn't believe in Terence Crawford's selling power. He doesn't believe he is a big draw. And he already stated he's done with Terence Crawford. So Bob Arum stating that Al Haymon informed him that he would proceed forward with making this fight, but Errol Spence is not realistic with the numbers he's throwing out there, is completely false, right? Bob Arum completely has, obviously has an agenda in place. He don't believe that Terence Crawford is a draw. He don't believe he's worth the investment. And so in this case, if he's going to make a fight of this magnitude, he is going to want as much return for his investment as possible. And that includes a 50-50 or nothing, because he don't believe that he's going to get a return in his investment in this fight. He don't believe in Errol Spence's drawing power either, because like I said, Errol Spence did a high at 350,000 pay-per-views. If he didn't think it was worth it when Manny Pacquiao did 400,000 pay-per-views with Adrian Broner reportedly, then he definitely don't see it 350,000 being a success. So therefore, Bob Arum is not willing to make this fight. And like he stated, he even responded to Keith Thurman's call-outs when Keith Thurman called him out and stated that, stop trying to lowball me with these numbers. He responded to Keith Thurman and said, find another promoter to put you and Terence Crawford on and let him lose the money, and I'll buy tickets ringside. I'll make sure, I promise you, I'll be ringside to watch the fight and watch the guy lose, watch whoever promotes the fight lose the money. So he's willing, again, he don't believe Keith Thurman fight is big. So he said he would give Keith Thurman a $1 million flat fee up front guarantee with incentives on the back end to fight Terence Crawford. So he don't believe that there's any return for the investment today's time with these fighters, especially Terence Crawford, who should be his ace in the hole when Terence Crawford is considered the best pound for pound fighter in the world, at least in the argument. So when you look at it from that standpoint, you would think that Bob Arum believes that Terence Crawford could do big numbers, but no, he don't believe so. And the proof is in the pudding. Terence Crawford fought on free TV on ESPN in a high-profile fight, the biggest fight of his career, against Kell Brook, and it only did free 2 million views. Sean Porter, who's not seen as a big draw in the sport of boxing, fought for Miller on free TV and did 1.5 million views. So that lets you know, and that wasn't a high-profile fight. Neither guy was considered the best fighter in the world, and neither guy was a champion. Yet only 500,000 people less chose to view the fight than Terence Crawford in the biggest fight of his career on the biggest sporting platform in the world, in a high-profile fight with a guy that has an entire country in Kell Brook, who was a superstar in the UK, and it only did 2 million free views. So that lets you know everything you need to know. Bob Arum has no interest in making this fight. And essentially, like Terence Crawford stated, when he leaves, he knows he can make these big fights. That's what he's going to have to do in October. But that's all I got for y'all. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.